Mike Milbury joins us this morning on the Harbor One hotline. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how's it going? Congratulations. I guess everybody's supposed to congratulate you. Your shiny new toy.
You know,
Did it come with a bonus?
No, it doesn't come with a bonus. And quite frankly, it's kind of like the Lady Bing, where I don't score a lot of goals, but I've been in the league long enough where they feel like they have to give me something. I think that's pretty much. I think that's about what it is.
Lady Bing is kind of embarrassing, actually.
That's my point. in a nutshell. Speaking of hockey and this team, off to a pretty good start. We'll talk about the other night later, but what have you seen so far from this Bruins team that you like?
Oh, I am not going to wait until later to talk about the last game. Obviously, they can score goals, and obviously they can give them up. And I don't mind this new philosophy of getting the defense involved, wide open, push the pace. But there are principles of the game, particularly at the defensive end, that are sacrosanct. You just can't break these rules. If you break them, you have to go to confession, right, Courtney? I mean, you just can't do it. It's like, okay, the excuses are there. 3 of their top 4 guys are out on defense, and they played the third game in 4 nights, and it's Ottawa's home opener. But it's 2 points that you can put in the bank while these guys are out injured, and you can maybe get yourself a home ice advantage when it comes to playoffs, which makes a difference. But the mental mistakes that they made in the game against Ottawa, I'm still ticked off about these really basic defensive plays, breakdowns that could have been prevented. It had nothing to do with fatigue. I mean, the first goal, you got a back checker, Greer, who gravitates to the puck like a little kid at soccer practice, right? They chase the ball all around. There's like 10 kids around the ball. The guy's playing in the National Hockey League. You pick up your wing and you cover him all the way back. That's pretty simple. And, line changes. You can't change when the play is coming towards your end of the ice. They did that on the second goal. And the third goal, they got, stupid. 2 defensemen behind the net. You can't have 2 defensemen behind the net. Who's guarding the front of the cage? This made me angry. And I know it's a touchy-feely generation, but, count me in on the guys that say you got to have some structure to your game. I love the fact that they can score a bunch of goals, and that's going to get them out of some jams, and almost got them out of a jam against Ottawa the other night. Come back from 3 down, almost come back from 3 down again, which is unheard of. But then they shoot themselves squarely, not in the foot, but in the head by making these incredibly undisciplined errors defensively. If I were the coach, I would have had him in the room today watching videotape and explaining to him that this is the way we're going to play in our zone. When I coached, I wanted the zone to be the defensive zone to be mine. You can have the offensive zone. Be creative. Do whatever you dipsy doodle crap you want to do, but don't break my rules in my zone, because this is where we have to have structure.
Well, when it comes keep going. When it comes to goal scoring, is it too early to say that a coaching change was exactly what Jake DeBrusk needed?
I think he feels energized, emboldened. I think the word he used was secure, which is, we all need to feel secure, don't we, Greggy? But anyway, he feels secure. So he's playing harder now, and it's kind of sad that had to come to pass to make it happen. But, listen, a coaching change always presents itself a fresh start for every player. And clearly he's taking advantage of it, and he's got his game on.
So, Mike, do you put that loss solely on the defense on Tuesday, or Jeremy Swayman? It was a tough one for him.
It was a team effort. The forwards were crazy. On the first goal, as I mentioned before, but first goal, when you can put forechecking pressure on a player who's got the puck, certainly you do it, because you eliminate his time and space, and you make him make mistakes. But there's a time when that guy has enough time, particularly after a line change, where you're not going to impact his decision-making. And if you keep on going forward towards him, you're going to just be a victim of circumstances. He's going to pass the puck past you, probably easily, because he's had so much time. And the Bruins had 2 guys going in that direction where they should have pulled up and gone into a defensive posture. They were it was bad. And not picking up your wing on the back check, identifying yourself as a guy that's going to be in position, and then leaving your post is criminal. So no, I thought it was forwards, defense, and a lousy game for the goaltender.
Mike, when you look at that game, how do you feel about them pulling Swayman going into the third period when the game was still relatively, I think at that point in time, was only a 1-goal game? How do you feel about that whole situation? Because I probably would have just kept them in and said, all right, if you're able to win this, maybe it gives you a little bit more confidence after the way this game has kind of turned out.
It's a tough call. I mean, he clearly wasn't having his best night, but the worst of his night was in the first period, and that was behind him. The rest of the time was, as the coach put it, they hung him out to dry. After the first 2 goals, I think both goals were 5-hole, which, it's a vulnerable area for goaltenders, and they can when they start to spread out, they can leave themselves open to problems. But I could go with you on that one. He definitely at 6-5 going into the third period, but I can't fault him for making a change. Your goaltender gives up 6 goals over 2 periods. Maybe a change in that position might make a difference psychologically to the other guys.
What do you think the number for Pasta is going to be? He continues to have great games, so is that just going to keep rising?
I think he should score 50 goals. I think he needs to break that barrier. And, then he'll break a financial barrier with the Bruins once he does that. And but I think he's capable of doing that, but I think he's capable of doing that and not turning pucks over in critical areas, which he sometimes does.
If you had to say, though, what would you pay him?
I'd give him what the market is probably dictating right now, and that's in the 11.5 range. If you want to keep him, that's what you're going to have to pay him, and that's what the market says you need to pay him.
Mike,
and then I don't understand though. Like if you're Don Sweeney, Cam Neely, etc., and you're looking, you have the opportunity to avoid a Red Sox like situation with Bogarts or whatever, where you're and certainly nobody is suggesting that he's disgruntled, but like the guy clearly just go give him what he wants and get the deal done now, so you're not dealing with it all season.
That's kind of the way I would have approached it, but this is an organization that got pretty friendly deals from guys like Krejci and then Bergeron and even Char. They've been able to manage the cap in some ways because they have had people that have been cooperative with them. And if Pastrňák's not, I don't blame him. But I mean, if you want to keep this guy, and knowing that, a year from now, you're probably not going to have Bergeron. You're probably not going to have Krejci. They're probably, flying the coop after this one. It seems like this is the last hurrah. But if you want to keep your best scorer and one of your most popular players, give him what he wants and get it over with. I don't see what the problem is. You can read the numbers that everybody's getting across the league. You can see where he fits in statistically, and I think you just come to a conclusion that, whatever the number is, 11.5, that's where he should be. And the other problem, though, is maybe this guy wants to go to Manhattan or Los Angeles. I mean, he's a kind of a freewheeling thinker, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, likes the spotlight. Mike, we talked about Jake DeBrusk, right? And I know that he's playing well right now. But when Marchand comes back, how do you think the line combinations look? Because they talk about the check line, and then you see that the way kind of Taylor Hall's playing and DeBrusk is playing. Do you think one of those guys ends up going to the third line, or do you see them maybe moving Zacha now to the third line and obviously Marchand sliding right back in with Bergeron? Do you think there could be any issue there in the future underlining because of maybe the way things have taken off on such a hot start?
Marchand's going to jump right in with Bergeron. That's a given. And DeBrusk, the way he's playing, he rides on the right side. I've seen Zacha go brain dead on at least 3 occasions directly resulting in goals against. So he's not staying on the second line as far as I'm concerned. You're probably going to put Taylor Hall there to go with Krejci and Zacha. He needs to he as much as anybody needs to figure it out. I mean, there's a reason why, such a high draft pick couldn't get going, couldn't figure it out in New Jersey, and now given an opportunity with good offensive players, can play offensively, but his defensive mental lapses have become so acute and so visible to me anyway that putting him on a third line, which is a checking line, is dangerous. You might have to put him on the fourth line and get somebody more responsible in that third line position when you're trying to shut down opposing offenses. But I've been impressed with him offensively and depressed by him defensively.
Mike, thank you for your insight as always, and we will talk to you next week.
All right, kids. Have a good one.